We'll restart.
We're not in silly, goofy moods, okay?
I am always in silly, goofy mood.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Winner's Circle. Today we're going to first read the SEC quarterback rankings by 24/7 Sports, and then we're going to break it down and give you our thoughts on the list and kind of maybe a little bit of our personal list. First of all, Caleb, I'm JJ. So we're going to get started. And so at 14, no surprise.
Ken Seals.
Yeah, Vanderbilt.
No need to talk about this.
Vanderbilt in probably every position is going to be 14.
Just go.
Brady Cook at Missouri is 13. Yep. Then Zach Calzada at Auburn is 12 on this list. Miles Brennan at 11 from LSU. 10 is Jackson Dart from Ole Miss. 9 is Max Johnson from Texas A&M. Stetson Bennett at 8. Then you've got Anthony Richardson at 7. Will Rogers at 6. Spencer Rattler at 5. Then you've got Will Levis at 4. Hendon Hooker from Tennessee at 3. KJ Jefferson at 2. And then you've got, of course, Bryce Young at 1.
All right.
So,
how do you want to start this? Do we start from 1 and go up and talk about what we think, or do we start?
I say let's go back to the bottom and start.
All right, we can skip Ken Seals and
Brady Cook
because that's obvious.
Yeah.
All right, Zach Calzada. I 100% agree with this placement at 12. Yeah, I mean, he played good at Texas A&M. He was the only quarterback to beat Alabama in the regular season last year.
Yeah,
but that was
he played really good that game.
That was one good game. One good game does not make a player.
Yeah.
He's got to be more consistent, and the 17 touchdowns to 9 interceptions kind of throws him in that place for me. Only 184 for 327. To me, and being an Auburn system, I don't see him doing better than he did at Texas A&M.
I would argue that he is a better quarterback than Miles Brennan. But
maybe, yeah.
I think the ceiling is much higher with Zach Calzada because you see how he played against Alabama. But I'd also say the floor is much lower with Zach Calzada than Miles Brennan. So
I think he fits Jimbo's system better than he does what's-his-face at Auburn.
Yeah, but I also think he would not have been the starter at A&M if he stayed.
Not.
So, yeah.
He will forever be an A&M legend because he beat Alabama.
Yeah, he beat Alabama. So, Miles Brennan at 11, like I said, I would have probably switched him and Zach Calzada, but that's not a big... I could see either way. So, I mean, Miles Brennan at 11.
Yeah, he probably will get the start, too.
Yeah.
I would be shocked if Jaden Daniels starts over him. But I'm fine with Miles Brennan here over Zach Calzada. I think he's going to have a much better season this year. New head coach, new ideas and stuff. And,
that could be good or bad.
Only 3 interceptions compared to the 9 interceptions. And even though he threw, less passes.
Right, I was about to say.
He also threw 11 touchdowns in that stint.
Yeah.
So, I like that.
10, Jackson Dart at Ole Miss.
See, here's a guy who I don't even think is going to start for Ole Miss. I don't think he should start for Ole Miss. I think
Luke Altmaier's there.
I think Luke Altmaier is going to win the starting position. You can, if you want to read this 247 article, we'll link it in the description below. It even says that Jackson Dart might not even start for him because let's not forget Luke Altmaier last year. Baylor was one of the best defenses in college football. I'm not sure that even if Matt Corral is starting that game, Ole Miss is able to pull out the win. They probably would have.
I think they do.
I think they pull it out, but it's not going to be a high-scoring offense like Ole Miss is used to because Baylor's defense was just that good. Luke Altmaier played phenomenally. He played much better than I expected him to in that game. Being put in that situation in the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah, and he probably, honestly,
he played
didn't have much preparation.
No, not at all.
Going in.
I mean, no one expected Matt Corral to go down.
Right.
And as much as I hate Matt Corral, you never want to see a player get hurt in any situation like that. But he went in and he played good, and Jackson Dart is not, in my opinion, not good enough to be an SEC starter. Mm-hmm. He didn't do good. He did fine, I'll say, at USC, but that's the Pac-12. Compare that to SEC defenses where you're going to have to play Alabama, Texas A&M, Mississippi State, Arkansas, who else? LSU. Jackson Dart, in my opinion, and I could be way wrong.
I like how this article puts it.
Yeah.
Dart has a ton of upside. He's got the arm talent. He's got all of this, but he's not where many people expected him to be with that upside. His upside and his actual production are not matching right now. So
his spring game performance was not
right.
great.
And as Lane Kiffin said after it, and I could totally understand this. He was just trying to do too much.
Yeah.
So we will see, but
I think Luke Alkmaar's a better quarterback, and I'm sorry, but I can't see ranking a guy who has not started in the SEC this high. I get that he's probably better than
all of those guys.
Brady Cook, Ken Seals. I don't know about Miles Brennan. Probably better than. Remember, Zach Calzada did beat Alabama.
Yeah.
That's something Jackson Dart has not done and will not do.
Yeah.
I'll be frank about it. He's not going to beat Alabama. He could, once again, I could see him being around the 6-7 range at the end of the year. I can also see him not.
He's got the upside to be a top quarterback in the SEC.
I also don't see him starting. I think Luke Alkmaar is the better pick to start. And
I will say I would probably have him at 9.
His stats: 9 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. That's just not a good ratio. Even only throwing 189 passes, his completion rating was good.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't see him even in Lane Kiffin's system. I don't see him.
I think
performing that well.
I think I would have Jackson Dart at 9, honestly, but
I'm okay with that.
But we'll see. So at 9 we have Max Johnson from A&M.
Transfer from LSU.
I would say didn't do anything special at LSU, but also doesn't give you a lot of floor. So whereas Jackson Dart is high ceiling, low floor, or high ceiling, high floor. I don't know how I'm going to say that, but there's a lot of upside with Jackson Dart. There's also a lot of downside. Max Johnson's just right there in the middle.
And I will say, I think Ole Miss has another option. If Jackson Dart doesn't win the start, they still got a good solid guy in Luke Alkmaar. Texas A&M, they have Haynes King,
who won the starting job last year and then got hurt. So we'll see.
But once again, we don't know much about Haynes King. We know Luke Alkmaar is good enough to play college football at an elite level because, once again, he didn't win the game, but Baylor's defense is insane. They were insane last year, and he played great.
Right.
I think he can play good in the SEC. We don't really know about Max Johnson much or Haynes King. We will see, though.
So this list has Stetson Bennett at 8. I'd have him much higher.
I would, too.
I'd have Anthony Richardson at 8.
He just won the national championship.
Right.
I don't get how he's at 8.
But we'll see. Anthony Richardson, I'd have him at 8. Not much to say there. Great athlete, but as far as being a great quarterback right now,
he's a running back.
Yeah. I don't think he is he's a great athlete. Then I would probably have Spencer Rattler at 7. This list has him at 5.
Who is it? Anthony Richardson's at 7?
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson,
I would have Anthony Richardson at 8.
Yeah.
I'd move Stetson Bennett up. Spencer Rattler is at 5 on this list.
This is another problem for me. I don't know why Spencer Rattler is at 5 on this list because, once again, he did not perform well last year. He lost the starting job to Caleb Williams, who is a great quarterback, don't get me wrong, but Spencer Rattler did not do good enough at all by Oklahoma standards, and now he's coming into a much more challenging situation in the SEC.
Spencer Rattler did not perform at Oklahoma with 5 stars
everywhere,
all around him,
and Lincoln Riley, one of the
best quarterback coaches in the country.
And I love Shane Beamer. I don't see
he's not Lincoln Riley.
He's not Lincoln Riley.
Spencer Rattler does not have anywhere near the weapons around him
that he did
at Oklahoma. So unless he has just taken some huge step, I could see him being like 7, 8 in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he is going to have taken steps forward, but not enough to be ahead of some of these guys.
Yeah, he's not. I don't think he's going to be ahead of Will Rogers. I don't think
he's better than Stetson Bennett.
I don't think he's better than Stetson Bennett. And once again, Jackson Dart and Luke Alkmaar are kind of question marks. They could be better than Spencer Rattler.
So at 5, I would probably put Stetson Bennett there at 5.
Yeah.
This list has him at 8. I think it's way too low. I would have Stetson Bennett at 5.
And Spencer Rattler's too high.
Here.
Yeah. We kind of skipped over let's talk about Will Rogers for a second. Now, obviously, he's in the air raid system, so his yards are going to be much higher than every other quarterback.
Right, and his completion percentage is going to be much higher than most quarterbacks in the air raid.
I also want to say this, though. 36 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. Yeah. Once again, I know it's the air raid. That's a fantastic ratio.
The only real weakness in Will Rogers' game that I would say is sometimes he doesn't have the arm strength to get the ball into the places that he needs to.
Like fast enough, you know.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the power there.
He doesn't have the arm strength.
But once
in
again,
some throws.
The whole offseason of conditioning, it's possible that's improved.
That's his biggest weakness, and I think he's got all the leadership intangibles, all the smarts. He's got the accuracy. He can make some people miss on sacks in the backfield if he has to.
Yeah, unless it's Will Anderson.
Well, yeah.
But, but who can make Will Anderson miss? Not a lot of people. Stetson Bennett.
So, yeah. Stetson Bennett, yeah.
I'm just joking. But here's my thing. Will Rogers, his floor is not as low as some other quarterbacks that have question marks. His ceiling, I think, is just as high. He can go out, and I think he could have a Heisman type of season. Of course, Mississippi State has to win.
Yeah, he's not going to be
Heisman. I don't think he's going to. I'm not saying I think he's going to win the Heisman unless Mississippi State. If Mississippi State just shows up, I don't think they will.
Not enough to win the Heisman.
Not enough to win the Heisman, but you never know. Also, let's be real. Will Rogers has 2 seasons of SEC football under his belt. Right. I think he's making a big jump this year.
Yeah.
He's got all his weapons most of his weapons returning.
Right.
His offensive line is a concern for me. That's my only problem. If his offensive line lets him down, which it did let him down a lot last year too, other than Charles Cross.
The offensive line made huge steps last year from where it was in Mike Leach's first year, and they were still not very good, which showed you how bad they were his freshman year.
They had a top 10 draft pick in their offensive line, and the offensive line was still not good.
Right.
So that's my only concern with him, because if he doesn't have a good offensive line, he cannot perform well in the air raid system.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's going to get the ball out as fast as possible. There's going to be a bunch of 3-yard routes, a bunch of out routes go into Wally or Tulu. So
Jameer Calvin came back. Austin Williams is back. So he's got his weapons around him.
For sure. And it's just a question about the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, the dude, I think he's going to...
I think he is definitely a top 3 quarterback in the SEC.
I don't know if I put him top 3. I think he's higher than 6. But I think he's better than Spencer Rattler. I think he's better than Will Levis.
He's better than Hendon Hooker.
Possibly.
He's better than KJ Jefferson, definitely.
He's better than KJ Jefferson for sure. He's not better than Bryce Young. No one in the SEC is better than Bryce Young at quarterback.
Bryce Young is...
He won the Heisman for
either the first or second best quarterback in the country.
Yeah. Probably, yeah. The thing with Hendon Hooker, everyone is acting like he is going to be the best quarterback ever. Like, he's put at 3 here, and I'm just going to be honest. I don't know.
Once again, like Mississippi State, looking at the stats, Tennessee is a very quarterback-favorable stat system. I think he's a good quarterback. But
he's definitely a good quarterback. Like, don't get me wrong. He played great when he was at Virginia Tech. Was that where he was before?
I'm pretty sure he was at Michigan.
Michigan, yeah. He's gotten national attention everywhere he's been. He's a good quarterback. But everyone's betting like this guy is going to be...
I think 3 is a good spot for him.
I don't know if I put him over Will Levis yet, because Will
Levis
had a fantastic season last year, and Kentucky has grown so much since I started watching college football when I was 6.
Yeah.
Kentucky has just grown so much, and Will Levis is a great quarterback. He had his interceptions were high last year. That I think definitely can change. He's got a rocket for an arm. I think Hendon Hooker, he's a big question mark for me because everyone is putting so much national attention on he's the guy. Mm-hmm. He's high in the Heisman predictions early in the season. I don't understand what the scouts are looking at. For me personally, not to say he can't go out and have that kind of year that they're expecting him to, but once again, it's Tennessee. When's the last time they've had a quarterback who was expected to do that good and did that good? Yeah. Probably Peyton Manning. I mean, I remember Josh Dobbs was supposed to have just a tremendous year, and he had an average year for an SEC quarterback. I think Hendon Hooker has an average year for an SEC quarterback. I don't think it's anything tremendous.
I would say better than average, but not tremendous. So, really, my main concerns with this list are Will Rogers is too low, Stetson Bennett is too low. And then let's get to the somehow
KJ Jefferson.
Whoever from 24/7 Sports that made this list. For some reason, they put a running back as the number 2 quarterback in the SEC.
Now listen, don't get us wrong. KJ Jefferson is a tremendous athlete, and he played great for Arkansas last year. But he doesn't throw the ball. He's a running back. He's a running back. I mean, he's
a running back that can occasionally throw the ball a little bit better than.
To me, he's a better Nick Fitzgerald in terms of throwing. Both of them were.
He doesn't have the arm strength, but he has a little bit better accuracy.
Yeah. Nick Fitzgerald was a running back who put up insanely good numbers and occasionally could throw the ball. KJ Jefferson's the same way. He's just more accurate, and I think he's a better runner.
KJ Jefferson he's a running back, but he can throw the ball well enough to where you can't just completely load the box. Something big
he's a good tool,
right?
But he's not a Johnny Manziel
right
tool.
He can't run the ball and throw the ball like a Johnny Manziel or even a Tim Tebow in college. So KJ Jefferson also, something that not many people are talking about that needs to be talked about more is he's losing Traylon Burks, a first-round pick.
Absolutely. That's a huge deal.
The biggest weapon, I would say one of the biggest weapons in the SEC.
Yeah.
I know, watching KJ and Traylon against Mississippi State, it was basically the entire Arkansas offense that won them the game was KJ would throw the ball on it to just find wherever Traylon Burks is.
Absolutely, yeah.
And he does not have that this year. They got Jaden Hasselwood in from Oklahoma, who is a 5-star recruit and played well as a true freshman for Oklahoma. He's not Traylon Burks. Traylon Burks could run. He was a track star that was built like KJ Jefferson.
Yes.
He was strong. He was physical, but he didn't give up anything in speed. Traylon Burks was a freak athlete that KJ Jefferson had that he could just throw the ball to. He doesn't have that this year. So he's going to have to get other people around him involved. He doesn't have that one Traylon Burks, who I would argue was the best receiver in all of college football last year.
I would agree with you 100%.
One of the best playmakers, period, in college football.
Listen, Arkansas's team last year was insanely athletic. That's why they won so many close games, because they had the playmakers at the end of the line. Arkansas, I've said this to JJ before, was an opposite Mississippi State last year, where all of their close games that
they
were
won.
Like here,
they made the plays to win.
Right, Mississippi State missed field goals. There was one game that I would 100% blame on the referees against Memphis, and a possible bad call by Mike Leach to go for it instead of kicking a field goal. But once again, you see how bad the field goal kickers were for Mississippi State last year. Arkansas was opposite that because they had the more athletic players to make the play. I want to look at Arkansas this year. Like you said, they lose their best playmaker. Their schedule is the toughest schedule in the SEC, 100%. For one, they have Cincinnati as a non-conference game.
They lose that game.
Cincinnati is still a great team, even without Desmond Ritter. Okay, South Carolina. We don't know how good Spencer Rattler is going to be. South Carolina, in my opinion, is going to be a shock team in the SEC East. They're not going to win it. I don't even think they're going to go home in second place. Yeah. I think they could finish third in the SEC East, which for South Carolina is a pretty big deal with the state of their program right now. Missouri State, that's a win. Here's where it gets tough. You have Texas A&M on the road, Alabama at home, Mississippi State on the road. That is a insanely...
Well, Texas A&M's in Dallas, but...
My fault. Right. That is a very, very tough 3-game stretch.
Yeah.
Okay?
And then BYU, that's in Provo, Utah.
That's never
That's
easy.
not easy.
That's not an easy win.
BYU's probably a top 25 team at that point.
Listen, Texas A&M, if you can beat Texas A&M, you're not going to beat them running away with the game.
Right.
You're not going to beat Alabama even at home. Then you're going to be beat up because you don't have a bye week in between this span. Texas A&M, Alabama on the road at Mississippi State, a team that you always, every time you play Mississippi State in football, it's a close game. That is a...
And then at BYU.
At
Can't
BYU.
forget that. I mean,
that is a stretch where you could easily go 0-4 because once you don't have a bye week in any of those 4 games, and players are going to get beat up playing Alabama, Texas A&M, and Mississippi State. Your defense is going to be ran around in the air raid, and then they're going to have to go play a totally different system with BYU.
Right.
Listen, then you got Auburn and Arkansas, and then you end the season. Auburn and Liberty. Those are 2 games you win, especially since you finally get the bye week after BYU. And then you get LSU, another game I think Arkansas can win. Ole Miss, it's up there. Probably it's going to go to Ole Miss. And then Missouri, which is a win. Arkansas, now I'm not saying Arkansas is only going to win 3 or 4 or 5 games.
They could very well only win 3 games.
But if Arkansas is as good as some people are saying, which I don't see that because of who they lost, I don't see them making a bowl game this year. Which I also want to say, what's the name of Arkansas's coach?
Sam Pittman.
Yeah, I don't think you should fire Sam Pittman if you guys don't make a bowl game. You guys just got handed a very, very tough schedule this year.
I want to say that. I would say.
I don't think they would fire him. But
no, they won't.
Don't fire Pittman if that's what happens this season. Because
I think they win 7 games.
Schedule. I could see them pulling out 7 games for sure. I think Cincinnati they could win. I think they're going to win South Carolina, Arkansas. They could beat Texas A&M or Mississippi State. They could beat BYU. They're going to beat Auburn and Liberty. They're probably going to beat LSU. They're going to beat Missouri. They could win a lot of games. It's just you have such a tough stretch of 4 games right there. And in the SEC, 3 of those 4 games are on the road, and the other one that's not on the road is Alabama. That's not going to be an easy stretch of games for you. Yeah,
so the SEC and the SEC West especially should be really interesting this year. We're going to have the coverage here for y'all. So, yeah, another good episode of Winter Circle.
Yeah.
All our socials will be linked down below. Go follow those to get updates and see some behind-the-scenes stuff. Yeah.
Exciting stuff. Man, college football season, I'm excited.
Yep, right around the corner.
The West is so crazy. Any team from like 2 to 6 could finish anywhere in that order.
So
it's exciting stuff, man.
Yeah, we'll see y'all Friday for another episode. Gonna be a long episode on Friday. So, yeah.
I'm Caleb Griffin.
I'm JJ.
See you guys next time.